A 93rd minute Tommy Conway penalty keeps Borough's season alive. Just. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Project Borough, where we of course review every single Borough game, and good grief, we were this close. We were this close to our season being done and dusted. It was over for me. It was over. Borough were dropping points at home to Plymouth, a team rooted to the bottom of the Championship with the worst away record in the league. It felt like the most typical yet fitting way for Borough's season to finally be put out of its absolute misery, until Tommy Conway had the biggest pair of bollocks on him I've ever seen at the Riverside to calmly put away a 93rd minute winner, giving Borough the win over Plymouth, maintaining the gap to Bristol City and Coventry in the playoff race, as they both did their jobs respectively at home against very tough opposition. So it is as you were in terms of the playoff race. Borough have been boosted by the fact that West Brom and Millwall were beaten, so they're now 3 points behind us, and you'd have to say probably pretty much out of the playoff race themselves now, so it's maybe now being whittled down to a three-horse race, with Borough being the outsiders, with Coventry and Bristol City in the top six. But it was the way I was hoping Borough would win. I put a post out yesterday after seeing Man United get them unbelievable late limbs in the Europa League, and having seen Bristol City and Coventry in recent times get winners at the very death. I thought, my God, Borough haven't had a late winner since New Year's Day. We need a moment like that at the Riverside. Lo and behold, Tommy Conway delivered at the Riverside. So it keeps things ticking, albeit, yeah, the gap is as is, but there is one less game to play. So I still feel like Coventry and Bristol City will be the happier of the three sides. Borough are hanging on in there, and our season is prolonged for another game at least, and that is as far as you can look ahead at the moment. It is simply game by game, and we have just about navigated Plymouth Argyle, which on paper doesn't sound great. As I alluded to in my preview, anything less than a win would have been disastrous, and as I said, anything less than a win, Borough would have not deserved to get top six. For me, I do think we did deserve to win this game. I thought Plymouth put a fantastic account of themselves. You can tell they're a side who are fighting for their lives. They gave their all. Some really good individual performances in the Plymouth side that I really liked, and that might worry them because Borough like to poach Plymouth Place over the last few years. But I thought Plymouth put a really good performance in, and if they'd have been a bit better in front of goal, it could have been a different game. As it was, Borough capitalised on a big moment at the death, and I know people will say the performance wasn't great. It wasn't. It wasn't the best performance. It wasn't convincing at all against a side rooted to the bottom of the Championship. But I think there's a few things to remember, and that is that they are at the bottom. They are fighting for their lives. They have just come off the back of a big win over Sheffield United. And the one big criticism I've had of Borough many times this season, and I would have had again here today, is that we once again would have not found a way to win when our rivals did. So it would be hypocritical of me to be too harsh on Borough when the critique would have been that we'd once again not found a way, when we haven't found a way enough this season. But today we did find a way to win, and results at the end of the day are more important than performances at this stage of the season. If Borough win all of their remaining 3 games from here and all of the performances are rubbish but it gets us in the top 6, we won't care. So, yeah, the pre-match, the post-match fallout, the reaction, the feeling was very much going to be determined on that penalty. Had Borough dropped points, it would have been season over, and I think there'd have been some harsh words being thrown around if that penalty hadn't gone in, but it did, and we lived to fight another day. So let's have a look at Borough's team then. It was almost the team I wanted, and it might have been, but unfortunately, Riley McGree has been injured again, which is very frustrating for him and very frustrating for Borough. So we did keep Morgan Whittaker in there against his old club. Carrick did still opt to have Azaz on the left-hand side, which I still don't understand, why that is his current position. I still feel like he's better in the 10, but at least we started Marcus Force. He was one of the players I did want to come in behind Tommy Conway. And Borough did put themselves in a great position. Only 12 minutes in, we did get that first goal, and in games like these, as we always say, when you're going up against a team towards the bottom who will defend hard and make it hard for you to break down, the first goal is always huge. But like many times this season, Borough got the first goal, then allowed Plymouth back in instantly with a mistake of our own. I mean, to be fair, the first 20 minutes, first half an hour, the first half, to be honest, it was a flip of a coin, really. I mean, although Borough had more of the ball, Plymouth caused us a ton of problems. They had some really, really big opportunities at times, and it felt like a game Borough just weren't in control of enough. You know, the game felt like it was on a knife edge too much. It could have went their way, it could have went our way, even though we put ourselves in a great position. Azaz was the goal scorer up against his old club, and it was a good goal in the end, more so the build-up. Dykesdale with a brilliant through ball into Tommy Conway, made a great run in behind. His dink over the goalkeeper caught the post, thankfully, and it's quite poor from the Plymouth defenders. They didn't react quickly enough. They were sort of stood still, maybe expecting the ball to drop. Azaz luckily was in the right place at the right time and reacted quick enough to tap the ball home from about a yard out. So not his greatest goal, but he was in the right place at the right time to give Borough the lead. And as I say, you think we've put ourselves in the perfect position. We're in the best position, the best place to hopefully manage the game, get another goal or two, and it'll be a comfortable afternoon. But we're all Borough supporters. We all know what this club's like, and we always like to make it as hard as possible for ourselves, and that's what we did. Because on the 17th minute, Plymouth got themselves right back into the game. Mustafa Bundu, one of their two most effective attacking players, who I did mention in my preview, got them level, and it was a poor goal from Borough. It was a bad ball from Johnny Howson on the right hand side. I know Morris has gotten a lot of stick for this, but I don't think it's on Morris at all. You know, I think the ball is fizzed into him by Howson. It's a ball he doesn't want. I don't think that's the right pass. It's played in behind Morris, so he's instantly got to turn and face his own goal, and it's fizzed into him at such pace. Morris has got to basically kill the ball dead, you know, to evade the oncoming attacker from Plymouth, and you just can't expect him to trap the ball well enough in that situation. I mean, you could see after the goal, it happened right in front of me, Howson was extremely apologetic for it. He knew it was on him. It was the wrong ball, and even if it was played way too quickly into Morris, who just simply couldn't react quickly enough to bring the ball in and then play it off. Bundu, to be fair to him, capitalised really, really well, and it was a good finish from him as well, and he curled it beautifully into the far corner. And Borough, unfortunately, after putting ourselves in a great position, gave Plymouth a foothold back in the game and a bit of momentum, and the first half from that moment onwards, you know, it could have gone one way or the other. They had chances, we had chances. They forced Travers into two really good saves. Giabi, who I thought their number 18 was absolutely brilliant. He sent Howson for a hot dog cut inside, had a shot on his left that was saved by Travers. If it was a little bit less central, he might have had a chance. Also, other opportunities. I think Ryan Hardy had a chance that was saved as well by Travers after a long ball was hooked over the top and caught Borough's defence off guard. We also had other opportunities in the first half to make it 2-1. We had a couple of headers in and around the box that we didn't make the most of, and we ended up going in 1-1, but quite honestly, at that stage of the game, it could have gone either way. We could have gone ahead, they could have gone ahead, and I just think Borough were nowhere near in enough control of this game, and Plymouth, who, as I say, the worst away side in the league by a mile, the worst XG, they've only scored 8 goals away from home. They had way too many chances for my liking in that first half, and Borough looked very, very shaky at the back. Thankfully, they didn't make us pay. We didn't equally make them pay when we did have chances to go in front. And then it was the second half, which was more in Borough's favour. You know, they still had chances. You know, Hardy had a chance second half, well created once again by Giabi, who did really well on the right, getting past Rav Vandenberg. Hardy's finish was a poor one that was over the bar. Borough themselves also had chances and again just couldn't quite make it click in the final third. Plymouth were defending really, really well with some really good blocks, headed clearances. They were really defending for their lives, and I thought defended really, really well. And it felt like, for the most part, Borough were just not going to get the winning goal. And it was going to be typical of our season, really, that when it mattered most, when they needed to step up, find a way, be ruthless, it wasn't going to be. And we looked at other results. Coventry beating West Brom, Bristol City beating Sunderland. I'll be honest, I thought it was over. I thought it was done. You know, 5 points was the gap, I think, to Coventry. It might have been 6 to Bristol City. It might have even been more. And with 3 games to go, I was sat there in my seat in the North Stand, and I had come to terms with the fact that I thought Borough's season was done. And I was accepting it. I'd sort of come to peace with it. I was content. I sort of thought, right, finally, we're going to be put out of our misery. And I'll be honest, there was a degree of relief because I was just so frustrated in the ground. I think a lot of Borough fans were. Every shot and attack was just getting blocked or crosses were getting cleared. And it just felt like it was just going to be another one of them Neely games for Borough, another Neely game for a Neely team who were finally going to fall away. And then we get a penalty in the 93rd minute. Now, there was a penalty shout a little bit earlier on Morgan Whittaker. Now, I thought it was an absolute stonewall penalty at the time. However, I've seen other replays. I mean, I still haven't seen a close-up shot of it. Reaction after the game on the radio and on Sky, it looks like it wasn't a penalty, but then I'm stuck thinking, well, if it was a dive, why didn't the referee book Morgan Whittaker? That's what I don't get. It's either a penalty or you book him for diving. He didn't do either, which I didn't understand, I'll be honest. So, regardless, that was a big frustrating moment where we thought we should have had a penalty but didn't get it. Maybe in hindsight we shouldn't have got one anyway. But either way, it felt like it wasn't going to come, and then it did. And there's a lot of talk around whether this was a penalty or not. Obviously, it's a big, big decision, both for Borough's playoff aspirations and for Plymouth, who are right down at the bottom, and every point counts at this stage of the season for them. However, and you guys know, I'm always unbiased on this channel. I try and be as straight as possible, both going one way and the other. I'll give a fair crack to both my team and the opposing team. I think it was a penalty. I do. And I want to first give credit to players in the build-up to this. Aidan Morris does really, really well to read that Bundu was going to play the ball forward. He intercepts it perfectly into Iheanacho. Iheanacho didn't have the best cameo once again, but what I will say, his ball over the top to Conway was absolutely outstanding. It was perfectly weighted into Conway's path, and there is a push. There is a push. Now, in real time, it does look very over the top and theatrical from Tommy Conway, and I think that's probably what makes it look less of a penalty from a Plymouth point of view, the fact that he's thrown himself to the ground and really made the most of it. But I think why he's done that is because he feels contact, but it's such slight, clever contact from Ryan Edwards. If Conway had have just sort of fell to the ground slightly, I don't think the referee would have thought there was enough in it. But I think Conway has felt the contact and ensured that he got the decision, the right decision for me. You can see, and I'll put it on screen, I'll slow it down, there is a right hand in his back. Edwards knows what he's doing. And yeah, it's slight. He's trying to put Conway off and get away with it. He's trying to not engage enough to make it look like a blatant penalty. He's not, wrapping his arms around him. He's not wrapped his leg around him. He's not bundled into him. But he clearly pushes him. He knows what he's doing. And you can see Conway's body jolt forward. And it's that split second, that's when Conway makes it look a bit more theatrical than what it probably was. But he felt the contact. It was there. It was a push in the back for me. And he was in on goal at that point. It is preventing a goal-scoring opportunity. So I honestly feel like it was the right decision. And I can see why Plymouth would think otherwise, but that's me giving my honest, non-biased opinion. I think Conway is clever in making the most of it, but it was a penalty. And then the penalty itself, as cool as you like. What a pair of bollocks Tommy Conway has. I mean, yeah, a big moment for Borough. This was it, as I say. This was season-defining. And you talk about moments in a season. This might not mean anything in the end, who knows, but maybe it could redeem the penalty miss against Norwich all them months ago. Maybe it might be the catalyst and we might look back at it at the end of the season as a huge, huge moment. But it's a very good penalty from Tommy Conway. And you can see when he stutters, that's when he clocks that the goalkeeper's going right and he quickly adjusts and puts it to his right, the goalkeeper's left. And it's a very calm and composed penalty from our centre-forward in the biggest of moments. And that just swung the game in Borough's favour, just keeps us within touching distance of the top six. So we couldn't have come closer for me. Our season couldn't have come much closer to being over than that, but it's still alive only just. But as I say, it's out of our hands still. We'll look at the table first. As you can see, I think West Brom and Millwall are out of it now. I mean, if we think our chances are slim, a 6-point gap with 3 games to go, you've got to win all 3, and you need the opposition to drop points in 2. So I think West Brom and Millwall are done. I think it is a 3-horse race now between Borough, Bristol City and Coventry. We need Luton especially to do us a favour. Luton are at home to both Bristol City and Coventry in their next 2. Luton are getting into form. They are starting to show signs of life. They've lost only one of their last 5. So Luton have got a huge incentive to keep themselves alive and get themselves out of trouble in the next 2. So they could be 2 massive tests for Bristol City and Coventry. And I will say, if it was me, I would not want to go to Luton at this stage in the season. Coventry have also got to go to Plymouth. And if they play anywhere near as well as they did against us today, they're going to give Coventry one hell of a game. So the one positive I'm clinging on to is that Bristol City and Coventry are playing teams down the bottom who are fighting for their lives. Borough have Sheffield Wednesday and Norwich, who both look absolutely finished. Sheffield Wednesday lost 3 of their last 5, as have Norwich. Norwich have just lost 5-3 at home to Pompey, who have a terrible away record. So Borough's next 2 are against teams whose seasons are over and they're on the beach. So that's where I'm hoping we can take advantage. But as I say, how many times have we said that about this team this season and they've failed to capitalise? And this moment, this big moment, could be huge. It could be important. It could be crucial. But that's only if Borough make it worthwhile and make the most of it. I'm hoping it'll galvanise us, give us a real boost going at the last 3. But it will only matter if Borough can make the most of it in the next game or so, which of course comes on Easter Monday against Sheffield Wednesday. The stats tell you how much of a chance-filled game it was. Borough clearly dominating possession, as you'd sort of expect in a game such as this. But both teams had an absolute mass of chances. There was a total of, I think that equates to 41 shots in the game. Borough had 22, Plymouth had 19. Borough did have more shots on target though, 8 to Plymouth's 5, with both sides having 4 big chances each. Borough missed 2, they missed 3. So all sort of indicates that Borough have just edged this game. You can see the same by the XG, which is always a good indication and reflection of how a game went. Borough's was up to around 3, 2.98, with Plymouth's quite high as well at 2.09. So again, both teams had chances. Both teams should have scored more, but Borough did have the slightly higher quality of opportunities, which I think proves that even though the score was only 2-1, it was a game that I think Borough edged and Borough just deserved to win. A quick look then at the Borough players and the performances. I wouldn't say there were too many standouts. I think there were some decent performances out there. Travers again. I mean, how many times do I have to compliment the guy? He made some big saves, especially in the first half, when Plymouth were having real joy up against Borough's defence. And as I say, maybe their finishing wasn't the best. They were comfortable-ish saves. I think Hardy and Gabby could have done better with their finishing, but Travers was still there to save. I think Hardy's was the big one, making himself big in a 1v1. So again, Travers coming up big in the really big moments. I thought our defence was a little shaky in the first half especially. Obviously, gifted them their first goal. I think Howson's ball was a poor one. Didn't help Aidan Morris at all. I also thought Howson was a bit poor in possession at right back as well. So not his greatest game today, but I will congratulate him on his 750th career appearance, an outstanding milestone for Johnny. And although it wasn't his best performance today, that is an outstanding achievement. Rav was okay. I thought he was good aerially today. Did struggle up against Giabi at one stage in the second half, but other than that, I thought he did his job pretty well. And Lilling Jr. did provide a real threat down the left-hand side. His output still hasn't been as good as it was a few weeks ago, but he provides such width, and I think width we desperately needed, because too often in this game, we were trying to play central. We were trying to thread the eye of a needle up against this Plymouth defence, and they were sat so compact, defending the spaces really well. The second half, I did notice we were trying to get the ball out to Lilling Jr. a lot more. We were getting it out to him a lot wide. We were stretching him a little bit more. So we had to utilise that a bit more, in my opinion. And we did second half. Dijksteel, he didn't have the best game. Got took off second half. But his through ball did get us the first goal. So he deserves credit for that. And I thought Hackney and Morris did well. Especially second half. Some of Hackney's driving runs were really, really good. Morris played a big part in winning the penalty in the second half with that crucial interception. And I thought Morris just put himself about, gave everything, and was just that terrier in midfield, intercepting the ball, keeping us moving. I thought they both did well. And the front four, I mean, they've come under fire in the last few weeks for not being as good. I still don't feel like this was Boro's best front four clicking on all cylinders, but Azaz got a goal and anticipated the ball coming off the post really well. I thought he was better here, as was Morgan Whittaker. Still not quite seeing the best of him. He did have a couple of efforts that were saved. It was tough up against Plymouth today. Their fans were on his back massively, and I thought he dealt with it pretty well, but we're still waiting to see the best of him in a Boro shirt. Force, fairly ineffective, didn't really get into the game all that much. Tommy Conway deserves a massive credit for how he took that penalty at the end, and I thought he made some really good runs in behind. He was busy, it didn't always come off for him. He wasn't the best in possession all the time, but I thought, his running behind set up Azaz's first goal. He won the penalty and scored for the second, so Conway, massively important for Boro getting the result in this game. And then a couple of players off the bench. Dale Fry come on, played at centre-half, did his job. I would say Nacho come on, massively disagree with the boos. There were fans who booed him when he come on, which I think is ridiculous. I really do. I think it's disgraceful, to be honest. No Boro player should be booed when coming on. I get when a player's going off and he's had a shocking performance. I get fans want to vent their frustration for a player going off who maybe hasn't had the best game. I still would never partake in booing a player off or applauding the fact he's getting took off, but when he's coming on and his task is to come on and change the game and affect the game, what good's booing him going to do? What good is that going to do? His first thing when he comes on, the first thing he hears are his own fans booing him. It's ridiculous. Honestly, it's stupid. Any fans who booed Iheanacho when he come on, ridiculous. Just don't. Just don't do it. But yeah, I still thought he struggled. I still thought his touch and his passing was off. But he come up in a big moment. That dink over the top to Conway was vital in us getting that winning penalty. And as I say, it could be a big moment this season, and he has played a big part in that. So still, far from convinced. Still don't think he's been a great signing, but he did play a big part in the penalty and winning the penalty, and that's all you ask from him coming off the bench. So fair play to him for that. Giles and Bergzog also come on, bit late for them to really make an impact, and that was that. So as I say, we looked at the league table earlier. Boro just in with a shout still, with some big games coming up over the next couple of days. Now, as I say, I'm not here for the Sheffield Wednesday game. I am going away for a week and will not have time to preview the game properly before Easter Monday, as I am heading away on Sunday. So I won't be previewing or reviewing the Sheffield Wednesday game. It still could be the killer blow in Boro's season if we lose there and results go against us. So when I get back, Boro's season might be over, or it might be still alive like it is now. We might equally be back in the top 6. Who knows? But we are playing two teams in the next two who, as I say, have absolutely nothing to play for and both look absolutely finished. Sheffield Wednesday haven't won at home since New Year's Day. Their players haven't been getting paid on time. It just feels like it has gone massively south there, and they'll be desperate to end this season and end it quickly. So Boro, I'm hoping, will go there and capitalise on a club that's in a bit of crisis right now. And equally, Norwich coming to the Riverside still feel like they're an incredibly dangerous prospect, but they've just come off the back of a 5-3 defeat at home to Portsmouth, for Christ's sake, and defensively don't look great. So I think if Boro can deal with their attacking threats, we'll have a real chance in that game. By the time I'm back, which is in the early hours of that Saturday, I will be pretty much heading straight to the Norwich game. So the next time you'll see me will be reviewing the Norwich game, probably on the Saturday evening or the Sunday after. So that's the next time I'll be here on the channel. Who knows where we'll be by then? We'll either be mourning a disappointing end to the season to which Boro's playoff hopes are short, or maybe we'll be previewing a game looking ahead to that final day against Coventry where it could be winner takes all. Boro might be going into that game in pole position for playoffs. We might be in with an outside chance. It could be a cup final shootout between Coventry and Boro to get into the playoffs. Who the hell knows? But I'll be back then. But until then, thank you for your support here on the channel. We are so close, guys, to 8,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. So if anyone who isn't subscribed would love to, please do hit the subscribe button. It takes 2 seconds of your time, and I think almost half the people who view the videos here on the channel aren't subscribed. So if we can get over 8k, it'll be a fantastic thing for me to come back from my holiday to see. But I'll be back in just over a week's time, so I'm crossing everything that I'll come back and Borough's season will still be alive, and maybe with still something massive to play for. But until then, like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe for more, and hit the bell too so you never miss when a video drops here on the channel. There is a link tree in the description so you can listen to these videos on the go if you so wish. And leave me a comment below whether you're a Plymouth fan, Borough fan or neutral in the comments below. But until next time guys, do take care. Fingers crossed for Hillsborough on Easter Monday. And I'll be back to review the Norwich game in just over a week's time. So I'll see you guys in just over a week.